Cardi B just set the internet on fire, and the repercussions are already getting out of hand. What began? Perhaps one of the worst feuds we have ever witnessed has now erupted over a small-minded remark about album sales. Claiming that despite all the excitement, Cardi's new project was still unable to outsell Nicki Minaj, Soy chose to go smooth by making fun of Cardi's figures. She didn't stop there either. Saweetie therefore made it quite evident that she was riding beside Nicki, casting doubt on Cardi's never-ending conflict with her fiercest adversary. Now, all it took to ignite a fuse under Cardi was that single motion. She also didn't merely give the customary clapbacks in response. Reaching for the target, she threatened to release a scandalous tape that might ruin marriages and professions in one fell swoop. Cardi claims that Saweetie had an affair with Offset, and the proof is on tape. This is more than just a rap feud, you guys. The world is witnessing the drama that is unfolding in the bedroom. When you thought things couldn't get much messier, Nicki Minaj entered the fray. In the midst of a tempest, she is openly supporting Psy, adding to the commotion and making it worse. The girls are arguing once more, and this time it's going to be a boiling mess. Let's dissect it then. Not Saweetie supporting Nicki Minaj when she talks about that being my best friend, you guys. She is a terrible person. However, since everyone now knows that she and the officer were allegedly clashing heads when he was still married to Cardi, Saweetie should have known better than to become embroiled in mature adult drama. Don't get me wrong, we've been aware for some time that Psy and Offset are reportedly having an affair, but there had never been any concrete proof. Cardi even rejected it at the time, brushing it off as unsavory gossip. Let's just say that Cardi is done hiding the secret now that Psy is siding with Nicki and disparaging her. Furthermore, the fact that Offset has been very messy during the divorce process and has been committed to causing her as much trouble as possible doesn't help either. Considering Offset's chaos and Psy's declaration of support for Nicki, let's assume that Cardi is fed up with the bullshit. She appears to be at the end of her rope and is also expecting a child. However, as you are well aware, Saweetie prefers to keep to herself and avoids getting entangled in drama on social media. However, when she secretly posted and removed a photo of a man who appeared to be Offset from Instagram, she was shaken. The issue is that this dude resembles Offset, despite the fact that fans claim it's an old photo of her and Quo. The fact that she tagged it with the post-fight night made it much more hilarious. Say what, huh? After some time, she eventually deleted the photo, but the harm had already been done. The problem was made worse by the fact that she shared the image on Twitter at the exact moment that Cardi and Nicki were fighting. It appears that Cardi was the target of criticism as she took the time to criticize Saweetie. "You must have missed me," she added, "insane. Kiss my feet now." Additionally, she retweeted this fan's remark which read, "Tell her to make a hit. She is squandering time at a studio." Furthermore, this was obviously a jab at the fact that Saweetie's music career hasn't been doing well lately. She didn't stop there, though, as rumors have it that she is now prepared to acknowledge that Saweetie's affair with Offset was the true cause of the Migos breakup. And this is significant because, as I mentioned earlier, she has consistently denied this in the past, despite the fact that fans had sort of figured it out long ago. Bob Offset, however, made an effort to remain silent about the turmoil when the Migos originally split up. But whenever he could, Quo continued to make small jabs at Missy. Furthermore, it was clear that Takeoff was caught between contributing to the catastrophe and what would actually occur. For instance, Quo made some overt jabs at Offset during this Takeoff and Quo interview.
Shots at Offset.
Ain't nothing gonna change, so.
We just stand on loyalty, you know what I mean? We stand on real deal loyalty. And, you know, sometimes that shit ain't displayed. And this ain't got nothing to do with no label, no paperwork, no QC, no nothing. It just got something to do with the three brothers. And shit, that is what it is. Right now, we gonna be the duo till time tell.
This is Takeoff's assessment of the situation in contrast.
The only time to tell, but you know, we always family now. Ain't nothing gonna change.
Rest. In peace, everyone, since he was undoubtedly writing for Quo. However, it was evident that he was deeply involved with every bit of drama. Despite the stress in the air, he managed to maintain a calm relationship with Offset. Additionally, fans had a flurry of thoughts after Amigos fell out. Offset was accused by some of lacking quality control. Others brought up financial disputes, but Quo clarified that this had nothing to do with checks or contracts. We were able to determine that the reports involving Saweetie and Offset were probably accurate since it was about loyalty. The purported affair was first made public via Card's contentious exchanges with writer Sleeves Mirage, which sparked the suspicions about Offset and Saweetieverse. Offset allegedly slept with his lover, according to Mirage. Are you truly interested in talking about husbands? Cardi quickly shut it down and retorted that the rumor was fabricated. All of it is false. No, baby, she said. You're lying. You're lying like a crazy person. Started things and without giving them any money, dragged female rappers into them. No blogger discussed this. There are many things we can say about Miss Cardi and her marriage to Offset, but there are two things we know for sure. No one can dispute that she put a lot of effort into keeping things together, but she was unable to conceal Offset's relationship with City for very long, because Quo mentioned it in his song with Takeoff. Messy, in which he said, "I'm not stressing, I'm not worrying." You ought to have stated that you desired the game. It would have been blessed by us. It would have been blessed by us. He also recreated their legendary elevator altercation in the video to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he was speaking to City. Interview. Cardi reportedly got her leg returned in private, despite the fact that she never spoke about the drama again. When it comes to ladies connected to Offset, she has never been the kind to keep silent. She has a reputation for pursuing his purported sidekicks, and in the past, it has almost cost her her freedom. I'm sure you all still recall her online altercation with Cuban Doll, or her accusations of sending someone to deal with Jade and her sister over Offset's affair. According to sources, City was even involved in the crossfire alongside Cardi, apparently trying to get her blackballed. Cardi allegedly went after C's entire suitcase and sought to get her blacklisted behind the scenes. Many people think that City retaliated by criticizing Cardi for not outselling Nicki at that point. However, the controversy began in 2022 when it was revealed that City will be joining Glorilla, Lotto and JT on the remix of FNF. City had already written her verse and locked it in, and the song was billed as the summertime anthem. To shoot the video, she only had to connect with the other girls. Then, without warning, City was removed from the song, dropped without notice or explanation. The fact that she was the only one dismissed just made matters worse. Additionally, there was no known animosity between her and Gorilla. However, fans and industry insiders were unable to determine the reason behind her abrupt departure. And the list of inquiries only became longer. Then, while the whispers were intensifying, Glorilla disclosed that Cardi B will be joining her on the Tomorrow 2 song. All of a sudden, things began to make sense. City appeared to be being removed from the FNF. Perhaps that was related to Cardi filling in Tomorrow as well. The timing was suspect, to be sure. Fans believed that Cardi could have used manipulation to get City blackballed as retaliation because, let's face it, it sounded like something she might have done if she had previously pursued Jade and her sister. However, enthusiasts quickly connected the dots and came up with 4. So, the reason City was taken out of the FNF remix is because she slept with Offset, and Cardi knew that, a fan tweeted. She essentially blackballed her and refused to work with Gorilla until City's verse was removed. Now, who is preventing bags? Another fan said, so that's why Cardi made Gorilla take City off FNF, and in return, she gave Gorilla a free feature. Cardi also made fun of Offset on Quo on Twitter, stating, "They be going for anything, but I can't go for none of that." Offset was accused of sleeping around. Quavo caught this sub, and he and Takeoff chose Nicki Minaj over Cardi B when they went on Drink Champs.
Nicki or Cardi B? Not me, y'all. This is mad. I'm taking a shot. He's sinister. That's shit,
I'm gonna say Nicki.
Yeah, see, I was gonna say the same thing though. That's crazy.
So you said Nicki?
Yeah.
So being that y'all agree, that's a shot. They gotta take a shot.
Nori asked about Nicki versus Cardi, and he was undoubtedly aware of exactly what he was doing. And he was actually stirring the pot. Given the history between Cardi and Nicki and the ongoing animosity between them, it was the ideal method to start a fire. Apparently, he merely wanted to avoid the mess, so he took off as usual. Quo, however, was powerless. Let's be honest here. Even if he was secretly leaning that way, Quo and Cardi weren't really close at that point, so he couldn't possibly choose her over Nicki. But for you, those are the drink chambers. They thrive on drama, so it was not surprising that they brought up the feud between Card and Nicki. However, Quo was already acting shadily when he gave Nicki her name. She isn't exactly cool with the Migos or their group, as everyone knows. He was clearly trying to get under Card's skin by behaving like they were closest friends. Nicki even made fun of him a few days ago, accusing him of inciting a feud between her and Cardi. "Qua, was it worth it, dummy?" she asked. "Hasn't your career taken off? Do you recall telling me you were a part of the group, like Beyoncé?" I burst out laughing. In any case, Barney B's income offset his alimony. Well, let's get back to Guardian C. As I mentioned before, Saweetie has a reputation for keeping to herself. The problem is that she's also kind of dodgy when you go very deep into it like that. However, because of how cunning her shade is, people don't really notice it immediately. And she has previously been accused of being shady toward Cardi before sharing that fight night photo. One noteworthy instance occurred when certain Getty image photos of Cardi from the Vanity Fair Oscars party went viral, and not in a positive way. When fans noticed that she didn't look like her Instagram photographs, they quickly called her out for being a fraud and accused her of extensive photoshopping. The situation worsened when Nicki Minaj intervened on Twitter, writing, "Clock that tea." Meanwhile, when Cardi was being hounded online, many took it as a direct jab against her. "Photoshop those bars," she added as a follow-up remark. Keeping the shadow simply flowing in, that is. And C seizes the opportunity to criticize Cardi, intensifying the situation and increasing its visibility. She is skilled at making a powerful dig, and she succeeded in doing so. She shared pictures of herself looking ecstatic. They were captioned, "She doesn't need any edits." She was making her point very evident. Yes, everyone, Saweetie was aware of what she was doing. It all came down to timing. And she released those pictures at a time when Cardi was already receiving criticism for her appearance. Additionally, the comment regarding Photoshop and alterations was a premeditated attempt to cast further doubt on the user. Saweetie's message was loud and obvious to everyone. "Effing someone's husband and clowning them with your beauty is insane," they said. Real head barb. And she actually cleared Cardi. Do you recall that I mentioned Cardi's skill at spotting subscribers? "I'm not as mean as I could be, and I want people to be more grateful for that," the party said in a tweet after receiving criticism. But then, during this nasty altercation with Nicki, Sweetness clowned her. It appears that Cardi has finally lost all resentment towards Sai. Do you want to know what's crazy? She is now claiming to have recordings of C and Offset having sex, which he supposedly gave to Cardi while they were still dating. As petty retaliation, she is reportedly daring Offset or Saweetie to pursue her once more and see if she won't expose those tapes. Additionally, if they continue to play, Cardi will undoubtedly expose the footage and get her lick back. You guys should just throw the whole thing out the window. But here we are, everyone. A slight about album sales turned into a bedroom drama, complete with blackballing rumors, a dubious post, Twitter trolling, and a full-fledged rap involving Nicki. Cardi produced the receipts after Soy made her subtle jabs. And Offs remarked, "Well, he's right in the middle, stirring a mess as usual." Furthermore, this is no longer just a rap feud. This is a public display of untidy personal lives and cloudy jobs for everyone to see. And as they wait for the next surprise, supporters are keeping an eye on every action, post, and tweet. Let's just say that the tea is not just hot, it's nuclear, given that Cardi is rumored to be in possession of tapes that might alter the outcome. It's unsafe right now and nobody can escape this mayhem. Quo, Takeoff, Nicki, Saweetie, and Offset. All of them, Cardi, are engaged in a game with high stakes, unfiltered drama, and genuine receipts. There are also two things that are certain. The story is far from over. So, Buttercup, if you thought that everything was a disaster now, you haven't seen anything yet. Leave a comment below with your ideas, and then watch the following video.